Welcome to the Business Women Australia podcast show, the podcast that brings together industry leaders to discuss the latest trends, insights, and strategies. So sit back and relax. Let's get inspired by the amazing women who are shaping the future of professional women in Australia. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Welcome everyone to the Business Women Australia podcast show. I'm Lyn Hawkins, National Director of Business Women Australia, and I'm streaming live through this beautiful opportunity to speak to everyone on YouTube, on LinkedIn Live, on Meta Facebook, and you can catch up on iTunes and Spotify. And I'm on the beautiful lands of the Noongar people of the west coast of Australia in Manjigurbap. And I feel very grateful to the way that the traditional owners have really cared for this land and welcomed us with so much patience and resilience and care. And I have the deepest respect for elders, past, present, and those emerging. Today, I'm delighted to welcome the fabulous Tanya Mills. Welcome, Tanya.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and talk to you again, Lyn.
I'm so excited. Look, we're going to delve into this common issue that's faced by busy CEOs and executives, professionals and founders. You know, I'm talking to you about how this has come at a really good time for me too. Misalignment and burnout, it's a big issue, and we're going to look at how to rewire executive rhythms and to notice the signs of misalignment, perhaps when you're experiencing that sort of feeling of being out of sync with maybe values, your energy, and your true selves. So we're very lucky to have Tanya as a leader in Business Women Australia. She's an executive coach, an entrepreneur, an author, and the founder of Aligned Success. And she specialises in coaching CEOs, senior executives, and enterprise leaders to achieve sustainable performance without sacrificing themselves. Tanya, your own leadership journey began as a high-performing entrepreneur. You've built and sold businesses. You expanded an IT company from Perth to New York. You've successfully led teams with 200 people. You've navigated your own personal challenges and the realities of rebuilding during the pandemic, and with a whole lot of personal challenges as well that have been thrown into the mix. So, you know, it's been really quite extraordinary witnessing a part of your journey and hearing about what you've achieved to date. Perhaps when we looked at this as an idea, I did put my hand up to say, how about you coach me live on air? And we're both kind of crazy, let's do it kind of people. And I have been feeling, I have to say, a little bit nervous about this. But I know I'm in really good hands. And before we dive into this live coaching exercise to show our listeners and our members the power of being coached, let's just hear a little bit about this misalignment. You often talk about misalignment being the hidden cause of executive burnout. What does misalignment actually look and feel like for a leader?
Oh, it's a big question. Look, it's not one of those things that arrives in a dramatic way. And this is why sometimes we miss it, right? And we don't think about it. And I haven't thought about it in my leadership roles in the past. And it hasn't knocked on my door with like 3 taps and I'm here, I'm misaligned. It's a quiet, creeping feeling, and there's tension inside the body. When I've felt misaligned in the past, the decisions that I've been making in my business in the past have felt heavier, and sleep isn't enough, which is a really big thing, because I think we all know sleep is so important. And if you wake up tired after a big sleep, that's a signal that there's something going on. Another one that I have felt is a sense of emptiness inside. So I'm leading teams and I'm feeling successful. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do, and this is what I have been aiming for and putting all of my focus and energy into. But then in the quiet moments, when I'm trying to go to sleep at night, there is an emptiness there. And these are signals. And I think in terms of leaders, some leaders tend to add on responsibilities, and instead of taking off the load, there's more adding on, and there's this sense of responsibility of looking after a lot of people in an organization. And that's a lot to take on, and to have, when you're trying to sleep at night, your mind races. So part of that is, along the way, as I found with my experience, I lost myself. And so as I'm building up the business and the team and other people, I'm drifting off at the same pace, and I'm losing my sense of who I am and my purpose and my values and my energy, actually, really importantly. So it's not a dramatic experience, it's a creep, which is actually one of the reasons why it's not being talked about enough, I believe.
Yeah, it's interesting you call it that creep. You've coached so many high-performing executives, and when that creep comes in, what does it? It can be that deep thing that it looks successful from the outside, still, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I loved the feeling of being successful in business, and I have seen that in my clients. It's almost becomes part of like the ego driving, okay, I'm a success in life because my business or the organization is successful, and there's, KPIs and goals and plans. But one of the things that I did especially is because I was capable, and I know a lot of leaders and clients that I coach as well, we're so capable. So we have this ability to override ourselves, and it just over time. So I overrode my tiredness. I was like, no, just keep going. Like, you don't need to go to sleep. Yeah, sure, you can like go out and then come home and work again. And if I had any doubt in the plan, I would keep going. I would override. And sometimes I wouldn't delegate or revert to other people because I was so capable. And I've seen that in clients that I work with as well. It's a similar behavior. And it's almost like this thing like, well, I thought I could do this at any cost, and that was all that mattered. And that just became, I compartmentalized business success at any cost as, okay, I'm achieving in life. And the other things, I'll figure out it later. My health and speaking to my mom and all of that, I'll figure it out later. But, I think that's when burnout creeps in, because this capability is so strong that it takes over, and then burnout kicks in, and eventually, if it's ignored, it can start breaking down every other aspect of your life, which will then mean you're not going to be the leader that you have been. And I certainly wasn't that as well.
Yeah, when I reflect on, times in my life when, busy executive, managing the kids, a husband who traveled a lot with his work, he's also, in the C-suite. And I was like, I think back and so much of it's a blur, and it's such a shame because it was a really important time of our life as a couple, and our children and our parents who were alive at the time. And I look back and I just think there was so much busyness, and we were just operating on, just, I think, adrenaline in some regards, and wine. I
have a term for it that I made up. Well, someone made up for me because they observed my behavior, and that's called the shopping bag syndrome. I don't know if you know what that.
No, tell me.
So I'm the type. This is actually quite embarrassing. I'm the type of person where if I go to the shops, I'll, have 10, 15 shopping bags, and I don't want to do 2 trips from the car to the house. So I'll put like 10 shopping bags on this arm and that 10 shopping bags, and then I'll just be like, walking to the front door. And my kids look at me and there's like oranges rolling down the driveway because the bags are breaking open. And, it's just such a great analogy for the way I used to operate in business. It's like, just keep putting a bag on, adding more oranges, put some bananas in here. And it's a mindset, So I don't want to go back to the car to get another bag.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, because Simon and I often have arguments because he likes going back, coming back, like almost like a star kind of thing, whereas I like to be more celestial in that if you cannot return back, you do everything from dot to dot and then return, and then it brings you back, so you don't have to backtrack. That's a whole nother topic in itself, right?
There's some more to it than I thought. I just thought I was just like, no one's gonna carry my bags, I'm doing it myself.
Right, okay, that is a whole nother thing with leaders and their desire to hold on to everything and not to delegate, not to build the teams around them. But your framework, you've created a framework based on your experiences, what you've learned, and you've got sort of your own IP around this sort of structure and flow. I love this idea of how this is very central to the work you do in helping leaders reset. So explain briefly about what that means and how it can prevent burnout, and then we'll jump into the live coaching thing. I'm feeling like I'm warming up to it.
So the structure and flow framework is really an evolution of how I have evolved as a leader. So previously I was all about having the vision and the business plan, the discipline of all the meetings, and, the organization was set up in the typical way that if you looked it up, it would be all the things. But it was void of something missing. And that was the part for probably over a decade that I forgot, or not forgot, but I really didn't engage within myself and didn't understand at that point. I've evolved as a leader, and the flow part is really important. So you can have all the structure and the systems and the processes and the team meetings, but it's also for a leader, it's so important to be this inner alignment. Our energy, my energy as a leader, on how I show up every day affects everyone. We don't see it, as a document, but we feel it, and my team felt it. And I was tired when I woke up every day, and I was stressed, and my energy was scattered, and my values were misaligned. So the flow part is for leaders to really understand how important this inner alignment piece is, and really take the time to be with who we are at our soul level, discover who we are, and embrace it. Take time to recharge. We don't need to be grind and hustle 1,000,000% of the time, which is what I was taught I was in New York running my company, and it was grind hustle. I'd go into WeWork, and every single those signs, let's hustle and let's grind. It's like, cool. Mm-hmm. But I forgot about who I was along the way. And that is so important for the differences of leadership. One type of leader is structured, can be structured and focused on the organizational aspects. And then another type of leader can be focused on the flow. But what that means is, for the structured leader, it can result in burnout. And then for the flow leader, if I'm just categorizing here, I'm not saying that anyone's in that exact space, but it can result in inconsistency. So the coexistence of the two is aligned leadership, sustainable leadership, because I really believe, after going through my own experiences, which is what I'm embodying now in my own business, having the structure and having all of those systems in place is so important. But this, I take time out to really get clarity of mind, and it's uncomfortable at times because I'm so used to being that person. I really sometimes feel guilty over it. But then self-awareness comes into play. It's okay to go for a walk. It's okay to sit and look out and wonder. And this is when my best ideas come into play. And I find that then I'm able to integrate that flow and the structure together. And I really believe that, you know, this is a very chaotic driven world at the moment, energetically wise, and the world is calling for leaders that have both. You know, really, I don't watch the news, but I do see snippets, and it's so much of this, and it can get almost constrictive. And then sometimes it can be like, well, I don't want to show up. I have an ability to like not be able to have that, make a decision today or pivot when I need to. I'll just default, you know. And so it really, for me, what works is just taking those moments out of the day to, and doing it, not feeling guilty. You know, I exercise every day. I also take concentrated, conscious minutes to just stop, and my nervous system calms down. And that's when everything good happens. It flows. So that combination of the two, I think, is really important.
Yeah, that's a really great way of describing it. So it is something that's been called for leaders to be, you know, conscious about their whole selves and to be aligned and to be walking the talk, because as leaders, managers, you know, the ones that the team members are looking up to, they're going to see how your behavior is. And if you're sitting there working through your lunch breaks and not doing things for yourself, then it's going to create a culture of burnout, and not just burnout for me, but burnout for everyone reporting to me. So this is such an important message that you're giving everybody. So thank you for that. So rather than talking about the theory, let's dive in, and we'll show listeners what this looks like in action. Tanya, you're going to coach me through your framework so our audience can experience this process firsthand. I've been sort of doing a bit of mindfulness today to be in a place where I can lean into my honesty and my truth and my vulnerability. So I really appreciate it. And anyone who's listening, if it's a bit much, just bear with us, and we'll take you on a journey, and just send me lots of love and light as we go. Thanks, Tanya. Over to you. How do we start this off?
Okay, so well, I hope it's a positive experience. And I think it's going to be a great experience, Lyn. So I'm just going to hold up. So my book is called Balance Success, and so I wanted to share, which you already know about, Lyn, my framework, which is my Balance Success wheel. So if you can just draw there's 8 different quadrants in the wheel while I'm talking, and I'll be very brief, but essentially I've created this wheel because what I consider to be my non-negotiables in life after going through chronic burnout. So there's other things that are important in life, and I strongly believe if we don't give attention to and focus to and tend to, over time, there will be this misalignment that can go into places I've seen it in my life where it's not worth it. So it's about creating that alignment. And everyone will have a different version of what their aligned success wheel looks like. So I'm just going to read out mine for Lyn, which is the quadrants are health and vitality. Then there's mental wealth, which, just to quickly frame it, is around clarity and resilience and having your mind in a place where you're able to make clear decisions for the better of your life and for your organisation. And then there's growth and contribution, connection, abundance and finance, fun, joy and creativity, business and career, and the final one is spiritual alignment.
Got it.
Good?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're great. Yeah, excellent.
Right. So that's my interpretation of inner alignment and the impact that can have on being an aligned leader. And so I'll just talk you through a few questions and we'll just see how we go with it. So first one is, what speaks to you as what you've been focusing on? And I know you're an amazing leader, Lyn. You're very inspiring. And you're very self-aware as well as on your leadership retreat last year in Bali. And you're just such a very deeply connected woman. So I'd love to hear what are your top 2 that you are just smashing, essentially.
Okay. I believe I'm smashing my mental wealth. I've got a lot of clarity. I've got a lot of resilience. I'm very focused on achieving things. So I feel like my mental wealth is good, and I'm feeling I have experienced a bit of burnout last year, but my break was really good. And I've come back with this feeling of a healthy mind, like I've got an opportunity there. And I did speak to you earlier about feeling perhaps a bit overwhelmed, but I'm a bit overwhelmed by choices of things. So, like it's interesting. It's a strength, but it's also like I'm a bit overwhelmed by so many choices that I can be doing. My other one that I'm smashing, I'd say, is my sense of abundance and finance. I feel that I have more than enough, having travelled through India and part of Vietnam over the long service leave. I've just realised what an incredible wealth that I have and that I enjoy and that my family enjoy, and I'm really comfortable with that. And I'm at a time in my life where I'm turning 60. So, my husband and I are talking about what does the next 5 to 10 years look like as we, get to the sort of different season in our careers, and consolidating some of our investments and looking at that. So that side of those 2 pieces, at this point in time, I feel like I'm smashing.
I love that. I love that you picked mental wealth, because that it's such a very diverse and beautiful space, right? Looking after our mind. And I believe that you've come through a lot of self-awareness to get to the point where that has become, I think if we had this session perhaps 10 years ago, it might have been a different answer. So I really do love that. And can you just briefly describe how that's showing up in your life? Like, how does it feel for you?
It feels like I have a sense of control, and that I'm feeling a less of a sense of rush. Okay, like even honestly, even last year before we moved to Mandurah, Tanya, I think that would have been an issue rather than a strength. Like it might have even been my lowest one, but selling the family home, releasing debt, making some hard decisions for me and Simon and the family has actually resulted in this space. I'm surrounded by water and sea life and birds and dolphins and time. And that has given me a forced peace almost, which I've never afforded. I've actually been feeling a little bit like I was as a little girl growing up in the Midwest of Western Australia, in a little tiny town called Three Springs, where I had a lot of time on my hands. Both my parents worked, and I would get my deadly treadly, get my bike, and whoever were the kids that were floating around in the afternoon, and we'd go and explore. And we filled our days full of adventure and exploring and joy and fun and doing things together. And I kind of looking around going, I'm a little bit lost at the moment because I haven't got a gang and a bunch of deadly treadlies like to hang out with. But I'm also realizing this is actually a really good time in my life to sit comfortably with this piece and all that work that, we've been doing, and you've been a part of that journey with me, Tanya. And I think that work has really helped me understand the value of this quietness and stillness.
When you said before, I think you made a comment around it's quite overwhelming because there's so many things you want to do, and you've clearly done a lot of things in your life. Where has that drive come from? I'm interested to know.
I don't know. I feel there's something in me that's always been there, probably in the way I was brought up. As a lot of country values that when you see things like around where I live, there's a very big difference between, it's like a two-speed economy. There's a lot of wealth. I'm looking out at the moment at this enormous amount of wealth. We're on the canals. There's beautiful, $1 million apartments, and then just a few streets back, there's a lot of poverty. It's also a cheap place to live and rent. So there's a lot of, single parent households with their kids, that are on social security. There's it's quite a nice place for homeless people to live. So there is a number of homeless people that have found themselves here, and so there's a lot. When I look around, I think, oh, as a citizen in this community that I've arrived in, what's my, what can I do to help? I just see things and I see, what can I do to help? And where does it come from? It probably comes from the values that my parents instilled in me and the teachers that educated me. And then the partner that I have who's very like that too, and my children who come down here and go, Mum, how can you sit here and look around at all this wealth when there's so many issues? And I go, no, I know. Like, what can we do? Like, and we'll have these conversations. So, yeah, I think that comes from my upbringing.
I see that this wanting to help is like who you are. I see it all the time when every day you amaze me. So that's really amazing. So a lot of the things that a big part of our belief system become where we spend a lot of our time and energy because it's comfortable and familiar. So let's shift, and I'd like you to have a look at the wheel and pick out one or two, it's up to you, the things that are areas that you're either avoiding, digging your head in the sand over, not giving your attention to. Don't overthink it.
Okay. I'm thinking probably, I know it sounds crazy, but probably connection is a big one at the moment. That's really jumping out as an area that's kind of, even though I'm massively connected, I'm also feeling a little bit disconnected with some key people in my life, and some family members and some dear friends that I've just lost contact with, and I'm kind of struggling with, where they play in my life going forward. Time is limited, and I'm spread thinly across a lot of different relationships, and that kind of is the one that probably is jumping out at me.
Okay, the main one.
Yeah.
So if you projected yourself to a few years from now, how do you see that looking if your focus continued on that in that way? Because we avoid things, right, that we for different reasons. We all avoid things for different reasons, but there's a compound effect. And so if these relationships and if these people aren't having your attention and they're important to you, how does that look in a few years from now for you?
Well, I think a disconnect from some of those people that are important to me. So if I don't really look at making that space in my life for them now, then they will drop off, as you know, many relationships do through your life, the different seasons and what happens. But you know, there are some people that I really wouldn't want that to be the case.
Yeah. And you touched on it before about having a time issue and other pressing, I guess, important things. So what's the thing that's calling you from your heart that's saying they're not important, or this isn't important enough to give some of my time to? What is it? What is speaking from that?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's quite complex. And I think for each, it's just been a very valuable exercise, because I'm thinking about a few people. Like there's a half a dozen people that I'm thinking about in particular. And for each one of them, it's probably, you know, maybe with one or two of them, am I trying to hold on to something that I need to let go of? You know, have we moved apart? Are we different values? Are there, you know, how do you hold on to something because of history and you know, I'll never stop loving my friends, but some of them are very different and very have a very different focus in their lives and don't have the social conscience that I do. But you know, I've always accepted that in them, and I find it hard to let go. I'm a collector of people, so this is a really interesting. Like, why do I collect people? Yeah, good question. Also, it's members and listeners who are psychs, you probably can send me a link. I probably need some psychotherapy as well as coaching. But yeah, and then there are ones that are dearly important to me, and I think what has happened is the big move and everything has been so consuming. Just even getting this family home ready to sell took us 2 years of nearly every weekend, just fixing, painting, you know, doing what you do to a big, huge family home, decluttering. And I think what's happened is I've come out on the other side and I've gone, oh, wow, I'm here. And I've neglected a whole bunch of people, and I'm feeling like, you know, I probably should think about reaching out and inviting them to come and stay with me.
Do you think this busyness is, because I get it, I've been there, I'm always busy all the time, and as a leader, this tends to become like a, you know, the vibe. It's like we've got so much stuff on, and especially when I think I was wired for success, and so that was the priority in terms of my belief system, my identity. I was a successful business person, so that tended to take up the bandwidth of my time, because I really didn't want my identity to be broken down, and I just, my belief system around that. So do you feel like any of that's coming into play with, because you've achieved so much in success and busy came up as a word? So yeah. I'm just wondering.
Well, it's interesting you're saying that, because, you know, I found myself actually reaching out to a few organisations around this Peel region to see if they wanted me to work for them, even for a couple of days a week or what have you, because I'm so used to, if I've got this bit of time, to fill it up with another project, another job. You know, there's some great work that there's some local foundations are doing and some economic development groups are doing. And I'm like, you know, BWA is ticking over beautifully, got some systems, processes, the advisory board's doing well, the local chapter leaders are all going well, and I'm thinking, oh, I'll just, you know, I could probably just jump into another kind of part-time role. I had one right up until August last year with Private Wealth Network while we were in Perth and doing all the moving and what have you. And it was crazy busy, and I thrive in that, but I was exhausted. totally exhausted. And I hadn't been as present to my kids as I probably needed to be. And I would think my relationships with Simon was struggling too. We were both so busy with work and the move and planning the trip. And here I am down here with this opportunity for some really awesome quality time to replenish, to refresh, to sit quietly, which I'm loving and I'm grateful for. But I'm out there in the background going, oh, like, I'm here. Who wants me? Who wants me to work on a project? It's just like, right. I think it's come from being that kid at school that was, or the prefect and the school captain and the always. I remember when I used to say to Dad, "Oh, I got, I got a really good mark. I got an A plus," and he'd say, "What mark did you get?" And I'd say 99 out of 100, and he'd say, "Why didn't you get 100?" And I go, "I don't know, Dad," and we'd have a laugh. But underneath all that is probably this sense that I've just got to keep smashing everything out and filling my life with doing, because doing and being busy is what that work ethic. Like, Walsters have this great work ethic. It doesn't matter how crazy our life is, we have a work ethic. I had my brother in Sydney with some major health issues, and he never missed a day at work. It's like, and it's like a story, a badge of honor, and it's like, what the heck?
Yeah, I understand it very well. When I had my daughter in New York, I was still working full time and single, and just on the laptop all the time, and I wasn't present with her. So I do definitely understand what you're saying. I just want to take a breath, actually, because and honor how much you've done, Lyn. You really are just, you pull women together, you pull people together, and you are such a powerful connector. That is one of your superpowers. But what's also important is going back to your heart and your soul and remembering your elements on your balance success wheel. And the thing that I pulled out the most from what you just said, you can let those people go that aren't aligned with you. That's easy. I know you know how to do that, but the people that really matter, that's what's most important for you. So I would like you to just put your mind forward in 10 years' time. And if things continued with the same level of focus and attention that you're having on that lower area, how do you see that? How do you feel? And how do you see those relationships in your life?
Yeah, I can imagine that, we're having this awesome time with the people that I love, that I know they love me and I love them, and we bring about joy and we have fun. If I'm focused on that, I can imagine we're out boating, we're doing stuff, we're going traveling together, we're enjoying each other's, adult children and the stories around them, or no children, they're enjoying mine. If they don't have kids, a lot of my close friends are single women who haven't had time to have kids or whatever. And yeah, I mean, it's just a beautiful thought that I'm reconnecting with people that at a time in my life and theirs when we have this opportunity to slow down and not make it so busy, and maybe even, the sad part is I've waited for it to be this time in my life, rather than what I love about you is, you're so young and wise, and you're getting this alignment now. And this is I'm typical of that generation that waits until this time in my life to do it. And I should have been doing it freaking 20 years ago. That's okay. I didn't, and it is what it is. But, for our listeners, and most of our members are a lot younger than me, and they're more your kind of young executives, that are at this really, really busy time in your life. And it's a big lesson. This is a massive, big lesson. I'm just realizing that even though I'm at this stage of my life where so many other people are actually retiring and taking time out or going part-time or doing whatever, my tendency is probably to repeat what I've been doing all my life, but I'm not going to. And in actual fact, you know, I if I'd had this opportunity to really unpack what was going on for me, I might have had the wisdom to make the decisions that I can see I can make now. I could have made them back then.
It's a really powerful moment when I've been through the same thing, when I realized that my children are and my family are more important than an email. And you said it, you have the opportunity now, you have the time. So what's a couple of steps, one or two, that you could make in the next 30 days? Just really focus on this area.
Well, I've actually written down a couple, as typically. I'm actually going to identify the people that I want to spend more time with, and I'm going to reach out to them and organise for a catch-up. And I'm going to chat to Simon and say, who are the people that you and I both want to catch up together, our friends that we both enjoy hanging out with. And now we've got this time, if we can do that and we can make time. I know he's really busy with his work, and so am I, but we don't need to be doing more.
It's about everything working in this congruence, and it's not ever going to be perfect, the health and the business and the spirituality and the finance, but it's really important to acknowledge and be aware enough that they all come into play, and they all have this holistic effect in how we show up, not just as leaders, but as humans, as a mum, right? And if I am embodying these areas and then self-aware and put actions in place, like I've got my bottom two as well, and I'm working on them. There's no such thing as perfection, but it does help to create that alignment of where we're headed. And then if we do that, number one, there won't be regrets, which I think is my biggest thing, which I can't wait to talk on the podcast about the leadership mirror, because we don't want to have regrets later in life. And these things compound if we put our head in the sand. We're trying to avoid something and it's telling us something. And so the things that you shared today are really powerful, because there's stories that you've told yourself in your life from experiences as a young child, and then that has formed part of your identity. I am this, and I believe this, and I will be this, and then the other things fall away. But that's why my message, I believe, is really powerful, inner alignment, because that leader that has the go, which is so needed, the hustle and the grind and all of that stuff, but that inner alignment piece, when they work together, it's really powerful.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And I can see that a lot of it for me, I think, is coming out as giving myself permission. I had a beautiful meal last night with some family members that I haven't seen for ages, and a young family member, a next third gen, who I really don't know. He lived down in Albany, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know this next gen of the clan, and there's so much that I'm going to sit with and map out in terms of the people in my life who are important to me. It's just so good. Thank you, Tanya. That's just such a powerful exercise. It's as you say, it doesn't need to be a big thing. It's just picking one or two areas and putting into place some small steps to actually start rewiring my own rhythm, and not fall back into some sort of past patterns of who I see myself as, because I am not that. I am not that work. I am actually this amazing friend. I'm Auntie Lyn. I'm great Auntie Lyn to so many I'm this beautiful wife to Simon. I'm a mum, to my 4 adult children, and I want to be able to really enrich my life with closer relationships. Everything else is ticking over beautifully, and it's those things that are really the things I need to focus on. So after facilitating this process, I mean, you've done this with hundreds of executives, Tanya. What's the biggest shift that you see when leaders really align their true values and energy? What is the shift that you're seeing?
It's a shift in identity. So it's a shift from I'm a successful leader, and I smash all my goals and etc. And that's walk around with that. That's who I was for 10 years. That was my identity, and I really felt empty living in that identity. So the biggest shift is really establishing a new identity, and identity is essentially your thoughts, repetitive thoughts going into your subconscious mind. And then if you have so many thoughts about one thing, your mind's very smart, and it's like, okay, this is who I am. So through this work, it's like, okay, well, that actually, is that true? Or is that what you believe through your thoughts and through your conscious bias that you walk around with every day? And so it's just reframing it to, okay, I can have success in business, but I can also build a life while I'm doing it, and it be enjoyable, and it's fun, and I can love life, and I can see my mum, which my mum's probably going to be listening to this, and she sees me all the time now, and I call her every day, and I see my kids, and I'm present with them. I'm not on emails, and I've made a conscious identity shift to say, I can still have my own business. It can be successful, and I can still have a beautiful life. It's possible. It's just a mindset, and you believe in it.
All right. I'm actually a bit tearing up right now. Yeah, wow. Whew. So I can be a successful businesswoman Australia leader, and I can also be a wonderful mother and a wife. I've got to drop this story that, I was never going to be a mother, and I'm not going to be a great mother, and I'm not that good as a mother, and I'm going to actually embrace a whole new identity of being a great mum and a great wife and a great friend, as well as, a leader of Businesswomen Australia. Oh my God, everyone, you heard this here. You heard it now.
And then just say you don't even need to use the words great, because I feel like it's loaded. We don't need to be great at everything at every time, right? And I think that's the pressure we put on ourselves, and I do it all the time. I need this, and this.
Yeah.
And we're human, so let's go with the flow, but still have the structure, but just really focus on this inner alignment as the place that our heart's singing from. Because if we take that time to pause and really go back to what it means for us, 20 minutes a day, max. You don't even, if you're feeling it, just go sit by yourself, and you'll get the clarity. You'll fall into intuition, and that's all you need to do. We all know deep inside.
Very much in this, Anne.
Thanks.
So organisations, our listeners, there's a whole bunch of people that listen to our podcasts. It amazes me, the commentary that we get. How can executive teams be supported to maintain alignment and prevent burnout? Is it better to bring someone like you to coach them individually, or is it good to have collective coaching? I mean, how do we support our executives?
I definitely think it's good to bring someone in to coach at executive management level, because they get, the right fit, obviously, but they get a difference of opinion, and it can be really focused, structured sessions. And depending on what their needs are, it's tailored. But I think the collective is really important, because the team, you want to be singing the same song. So it will, if the leaders are embracing this inner leadership concept, it will naturally flow anyway through the organization, through the culture. And if an organization, I think definitely like facilitated workshops and that type of thing, but just putting systems in place that really is simple, like embody and embrace this inner leadership, because yes, it's really needed at a leadership level, especially now with AI and there's so many chaotic times. But the team, it would be great for the team, there'd be systems in place in the organization so that it could be really integrated and accepted, rather than feeling like, kind of having to hide if you need to do something, or, embracing this, because the performance of the company and their success is really tied to this concept. I really believe it. We need more human. We need more heart in these times. And so the leaders that can embrace this heart and integrate it into their culture, I think will stand out as a competitive edge.
Yeah, and I think the most amazing thing that today has demonstrated is, imagine if you had these kind of conversations with each other in the workplace, that you're going on this journey yourself and you're able to actually support your team in this way, and for them to have the opportunity to be brave enough to share, like I've shared, here today, and to having someone to help you do the work. A lot of this work you can't do on your own. It's just really nice to have someone prompting, non-judgmental, just holding space for you, asking those curious questions that Tanya's asked. It's just so important to have someone like a Tanya in the space. Now we're going to have you do a little bit of a masterclass with our community on the 26th of March, Tanya, the Leadership Mirror. Can you tell us a little bit about what that looks like?
Yes. So it's going to be a deep experience. So we went a little bit deep today, but the Leadership Mirror is going to be about, not often do we think about the end. As humans, we have fear around passing, and then as organizations, succession planning and things like that sometimes are a discussion, but not always. So this Leadership Mirror is really around going through an experience to project what the end looks like and to feel what we want it to look like, that is in alignment with who we are and how we want our life to roll out, and then to take it back to where we're at now and put some steps in place to be able to bridge that gap. So it's not a usual conversation, but I think it's a much needed one, and it's nothing we need to be scared about. We want to live our life out with intention and alignment with who we want to be and where we want to go. And so let's talk about it. I can't wait. This is the most exciting conversation. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, look, that's going to be amazing. So that's going to be a really interactive, like a workshop type experience. And we're doing that on the last Thursday of March. We'd normally have a virtual member connect, but it's replacing that. It's a very special opportunity. Non-members are welcome to register as well. So if this sounds like something that you've got a little taste of what Tanya does and you want a little bit more, jump in and join us for that one. I have to say today's conversation certainly has shone a light on what alignment feels like for me. I'm actually feeling kind of I'm feeling like this sense of excitement in my heart around this realization around what I can do to actually really focus on the things that were sort of like embedded underneath. I didn't even realize this was a thing and an issue until I went through the structure and flow exercise with Tanya. So thank you so much for that. It's just incredible, and I can't wait to do the Leadership Mirror. That sounds even more awesome. These experiences really have shaped, in your life, it's really shaped this conviction around true leadership, starting with self-leadership. Tanya, you talk about this a lot. And certainly you've brought not just your own deep work and your frameworks that you've been working on, but you've got an entrepreneurial approach to this as well, which is just wonderful, the way you're reaching out and connecting with a lot of type of executives that might not normally be open to this type of work. But because you've come from that executive CEO background, they will really know that you speak their language and that you get them. And I really do hope that for people that are out there listening, that they're seeing what an engaging style that you have, and it is quite unique. I love this idea of the mental wealth. I actually was thinking that, there was work to be done on that for me, but I've realised that's actually through this exercise. I honestly thought that's where I'd be working today. But when I sat here in total vulnerability after doing the mindfulness work before we got on the call, that actually I felt like it was fine. So because it's where I'm very comfortable working in that stuff, but it was around the relationships with my dearest, the ones I take for granted, I think, are the ones that are where I need to be focusing and getting that real alignment in my life. So thank you so much. Now, you're available for keynotes, workshops, executive coaching, all sorts of stuff. How do people find you, Tanya?
LinkedIn's probably the easiest way. I'm on Facebook on my page Align Success and Instagram as Tanya S. Millsy. But yeah, LinkedIn's probably the easiest. And I have my website, alignsuccess.com.
Align Success. And can we buy your book off your website or off Amazon?
You can email me, and it's on Amazon as well. The link's on my website. So this is the book. I showed it before. It's like a shameless plug, but it's actually the most people I speak to, I really feel like they need to read the book.
Yes. I can remember vaguely seeing it at Shelley Davies' roundtable discussion we had last week. I think I saw it and I meant to buy it off you. And I'm like, as I was driving home, I was like, I need to get that book. Why am I doing this podcast and these things with you? I haven't read the book yet. So I'm going to get that book off you, and I'm going to get that ASAP, because I really want to look more deeply into all this work that you're doing. It's just extraordinary. You're an extraordinary leader. You're a wonderful coach, and I just love the fact that you have this mission that you talked about, being to help the world's busiest leaders reclaim their energy, align with their best selves, and lead in a way that is both effective and sustainable. I mean, what a beautiful mission.
Love it.
I love it. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Lyn. Appreciate you.
We will get you back on again, no doubt. If anyone thinks this has been an interesting and useful, valuable exercise, please let us know. If you think this was just way too weird, and you need therapy as a result of me exposing all my vulnerabilities, just let me know that too. But I actually think this has been kind of fun. And it's a great way for me to get some coaching from you, Tanya. So thank you for that. And for those of you who've been thinking about joining Business Women Australia, please do. We're an amazing community of women who are really exploring and developing what it means to be a conscious leader. We have a wonderful community nationally around Australia, from different sectors, from different industries, from different states. And I really urge you to take the leap and get involved. If you're not quite yet ready to come in as a member, just jump onto one of our events and join us. You can try us out. We would love to have you. And you can see more information on businesswomenaustralia.com.au. And tune in for our next episode. You'll see all the episodes lined up on YouTube. And on, that's probably the best way to find what's coming up, or on LinkedIn Live in our events section on LinkedIn. If you are wanting to be on our distribution list and get our monthly e-news, reach out to me, Lyn at businesswomenaustralia.com.au. Thanks, Tanya.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
We'll have you again. See you soon.
See ya.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Business Women Australia podcast show. We hope you've enjoyed today's episode and gained some valuable insights to empower you on your journey. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to stay updated in our latest episodes. And if you're not already a member of Business Women Australia, what are you waiting for? Head to our website today and join so that you can connect with a thriving community of inspiring women across Australia. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.